Hey, what we're going to be going over today is the differences between Google Analytics 4 and Universal Analytics. So again, my name is Chris Cheetham-West, and I own a company that helps with training on different topics. And one of those topics includes Google Analytics 4. So we do all-day trainings, 2-hour session trainings on what it is and how to make that transition over. So let's go ahead and get started with the differences between the two platforms. So what you got to remember is Google Analytics 4 is mainly about events. So mainly about events and engagement. So that means that people are going to your website or people going to your website on the mobile device, they are going to be counted as so many different types of events. So first difference is the session. So for example, Universal Analytics and Google Analytics 4, in Universal, the session ends based off time. Right. So maybe the session when if a person's on your website and they leave their computer on and they go out to dinner, for example, and 30 minutes pass, guess what? That means that's probably that session ends. Whereas in Google Analytics 4, there's really no session restart. So person goes to your website and they decide to go to lunch, they come back an hour later and they get back on your website, and that means that that session still keeps going. So that session keeps going, and you can see how this can kind of change the way we look at the data and look at the information, because if a session ends after 30 minutes, then that means that we kind of can't track it as effectively as what they're doing throughout the whole time they're going to our website. So if 30 days pass, it'll be great to see what are the actions that this visitor took the past week, the past two weeks, or the past day. And a good example is that is if a visitor comes from your site from the search engine and they don't take action the first time, and then a week later they come to your site through social media and they don't take action, and then the third time they come to your site, let's say 3 weeks later, they come to your site through paid advertising and they end up not taking action. And then finally, they get a newsletter from you and they end up taking action. The good thing about Google S4 is it helps you track how many times people went to your site, what type of medium they came through to get to your site, and eventually at what point did they take action on your site. So that's one of the major things, and I think it's a great addition. I think it's great that they did this. So definitely look into how your data looks a little bit different. And people always ask us, well, why is my information a little bit different than in Universal Analytics and Google S4? And this is one of the reasons. So session restarts, different engagement tracking. So there's so many different reasons that can happen. So bounce rate. So if you've used Google Analytics for a while, so I think I got certified in Google Analytics over 8 years ago, you'll always look at Google bounce rate as an important metric, because what happens is you can see how effective it is when people land on your website. Are people moving around on your website? Are they going to different pages on your website? Are they engaging on your website? So that's always been great to track. But what happened over the years is I think Google realized that websites have changed so much. They've changed from how it was 10 years ago. Now, if you go to a website, just because somebody goes to the website and automatically gets off of the website doesn't mean that they're not engaged. So maybe a person just created a landing page and that's their whole goal, is to get people to that home page. Maybe they take action on that home page without going to other areas of the page, and that's it. So I think Google took that into account and decided, you know what, instead of just using bounce rate as a key thing to look at and to figure out if you have a good website or not, whether it's e-commerce or it's just a regular branding website, is they decided to create engagement rate. So what this means is that when you go into Google Analytics 4, when you log into the tool, you're going to see many different reports, and some of those reports, you're going to see engagement rate on some of the columns. So what this means is the visitors that came to your site and they engaged in maybe an event or they scrolled, or they stayed on your website for some seconds, over 3 seconds, and they kind of took some action. So what this does is it helps us understand the people that are coming to the site, even if they didn't go to many pages of your site, they ended up engaging in something, whether that's scrolling, or they downloaded a PDF, or they clicked a button, or they just ended up clicking on an about page. It's going to show you exactly what's going on and what they're doing. So that's a great addition. And I think it's helpful for anybody that's having a website, especially if you have content on your homepage that you really want people to stay on and then engage on. So another difference when it comes to this Google Analytics 4 and Universal Analytics is the events. So if you don't know already, so events is just the actions people can take when it comes to your website. Maybe that's an outbound click. So you have your homepage and you link to, let's say, facebook.com, or you link to superpages.com. And if somebody clicks on that link, they go to superpages.com, that's considered an outbound link. And in Universal Analytics, yes, you can track that, which is great. But it's a little bit more difficult. You have to add additional code, and it's just different. So when it comes to events, also you have video tracking. So Universal Analytics, if you have a video on your web page, if you want to track when people pause the video, if you want to track when people play the video, or if people continue watching it, again, you can track that. It's possible. Same thing with scroll. You can track if people are scrolling on your website. But again, it's going to take a lot of additional code when it comes to adding this on your website if you're using Universal Analytics. So the great thing about Google Analytics 4, it is pretty much automates many of these events for you. So you don't have to work with your IT team, or you don't have to figure out how to add additional code to your website in order to get these events. You have to just think about how can you use what's already there for you in Google Analytics 4. So for example, in ga4, outbound clicks. So you can easily track outbound clicks. It's already there for you. Video tracking, you can easily track video tracking when it comes to ga4. Also, scroll. So you can automatically track scroll tracking. So once you log in, it's already there for you. And not only that, but in the settings area, you can see that you can also track things like downloads. You can track things like search. So for those of you out there who have a website and you have a search bar on your website and people are searching using it, I think that's a really good thing to look for when it comes to the type of events you use, because that'll tell you exactly what are people looking for when they get to your site. Are they looking for jobs? Are they looking for information? Are they looking for something that they can't find? So that's a key thing to think about. Maybe if they're searching those keywords that they're using, it'll tell you that, hey, maybe I need to make the button for careers a little bit more relevant instead of hiding it away at the very bottom of the website. So yeah, automate events. So that's a great addition. And there's more events that I didn't mention, but you definitely want to check it out and see which ones you can use. And also later on, we're going to talk about, not in this video, but in general, how to modify some of those events so you get really what you need, because they gave you automated events. That's great. But if you really want to look into exactly what's going on your website, many times you're going to want to add and try to change those events a little bit to see exactly what's going on. So page views. So for example, page views is going to look like page_view event. So page views turns into event. So again, if you think about it, it's pretty much an event. Like page view, somebody goes to your page and clicks on another page, that's considered, well, an event. So if you look at your report, you're going to see a lot of these terms next to what used to be page view is going to say event. So be aware of that. So goals and conversions. So if you are used to Universal Analytics, you may have heard of the goals, and you may have even created some of the goals. And so remember, a goal is just pretty much, what do you want to accomplish? So maybe a goal could be, I want X amount of people to land on the contact us page. And that's a goal. And so, or a goal could be, I want people to watch a video for 5 minutes, or I want people to stay on this certain page for 2 minutes. Those are all goals. So now in Google Analytics 4, that's going to be considered more so conversion. So you're not going to see goals anymore. You're going to see conversions. So in general, when it comes to conversions, this is when you want to think about, what is a conversion? What is it? What is a conversion to you? What kind of goal do you want to set? And ideally, it's linked to traffic. That could be it as well. So many things can be a conversion. It's up to you to decide what that is. Right? So goals and conversions. And when it comes to the goals and conversions, one thing to note that when you look at your events, you're going to be able to turn on if you want that event to be a conversion. So for example, when people download a PDF, that can be considered a conversion. When people look at a certain page, that could be considered a conversion. Or when people even download anything on your website, that could be considered a conversion. So after this video, think about what type of goals you want to create and what type of conversions you want to have. And that'll be super helpful in order for you to really take advantage of the new GA4 platform. And so also, GA4, it still works well with Google Tag Manager, and especially if you want to, again, modify some of the events, and also if you want to figure out how to utilize e-commerce. So if you have an e-commerce site out there, you're going to be using Google Tag Manager a little bit more than others. So again, my name's Chris. So I'm going to be having some more videos about this, and definitely, if you haven't already, definitely try to log in, get started with your first property of Google Analytics 4 and see if you can figure out how you can use it to your benefit. And again, we help organizations with training and just assisting when it comes to understanding how to utilize Google Analytics 4 for their business. All right, thanks, and see you on the next video.